Now, Provost Federal College of Forestry, Ibadan, Dr. Ibrahim Oduola Lawal, joins us now to discuss alternative medicine in view of the rising cost of imported pharmaceutical products and pharmaceutical companies leaving the country. He will be looking at the possibility of local herbs filling the gap. Welcome to Rise News, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for
Good
having me
afternoon.
here.
Now, for those who might be skeptical and say, oh, we want to see the scientific validation when it comes to the use of herbal medicine as alternatives, can you tell us about the scientific validation processes that might give people more confidence in switching to these alternatives?
Yeah, herbal medicine, it's what God has already given us.
Okay.
It's natural, it's organic, it's everywhere, and it has a particular phytoconstituent that we all know, that we should understand that this phytoconstituent is the one actually gets straight to whatever we want to use it for. For instance, if you're talking about malaria, and we have a plant that treats malaria, there is a particular chemical phytoconstituent in that plant that will actually tackle the malaria parasite. If we're talking about the prostate enlargement, the particular plant, maybe you're using for prostate enlargement, for instance, Lonia taraxaxifolia, that they usually call it in Yoruba, they call it yorin. It has something inside, which is a chemical component inside it, that will able to balance the between the urethra, around that gland area, that will actually help in the prostate enlargement, so that it will shrink it, and it will allow the free flow of urine, and everything will be balanced. So scientifically, the plant has the phytochemical constituent, and the expert in this area, which is the phytomedicine or a plant expert, will be able to say that this particular plant or vegetables will be useful to treat this particular ailment.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria has urged the government to regulate traditional medicines and herbal medicines. Do you think this is a step in the right direction, or do you think that we should allow people to access herbal remedies as easily as possible?
Yes, it's in two ways. There is a particular committee presently in Nigeria, regulated by Standard Organization of Nigeria, which I'm also part of them, representing the Research Institute, Forest Research Institute and the college. We have the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria as part of it. We have the medical doctors. We have the traditional healers, and we have the experts from different fields. What we're actually doing in that regard is just make sure that the herbal medicine is standardized and it is regulated. But let's not forget that the herbal medicine itself, it is what we are made up of. Human beings are made up of alkaline. For instance, when we were made from the scriptures, it shows that we were made from the clay. If you look at it scientifically, clay is 80%, 70% alkaline in nature. That is why you see some people, they say they go for mud bath now. Mm-hmm. And you see some therapists, they will say, okay, do this, you need to do this, because we are alkaline in nature. That is naturally, without even taking anything. God structured us in a way that we can able to, the body heal with the natural things that you take by yourself. That's the reason why we recommend people. We recommend that your diet, the way you look, it tells us the kind of diet you are taking. And everyone especially in African, we're not supposed to be looking for so much of conventional drugs. Because at our backyard, if you look at it in those days, you see a lot of leaves, you see a lot of trees, you see a lot of things, and you realize that how are they taking care of their own health system in those days? So what is wrong now? It means that there must be a kind of steps or a kind of way that we have already, that something must have happened along the line. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at it, I study pharmacognosy at my master level. Then I had my PhD in phytomedicine. And now I can tell you that pick this plant, you can able to, when you are taking it, for instance, we're talking about Vannonia amygdalina, common bitter leaf, because I know that one everyone will actually associate with bitter leaf. You know, bitter leaf can actually do some magic. Let me say for a woman, maybe a woman that maybe trying to, for maybe by the time, maybe we'll call it, by the time you want to go into menopause, menopausal stage, instead of a woman experiencing in that stage, maybe menopausal stage, can actually, because they experience so many things at that stage, maybe they will be feeling some
hot flashes,
uncomfortable and all those. Yeah. You know, this bitter leaf can actually help out. And how do you go about it? Because bitter leaf contains anthraquinone. It has a little bit of the saponin and some other phytoconazole, which is they are good to work with the system of a woman.
Okay.
And by the time you take that, you can now take it maybe with milk or something. That is what they call the enzymatic process could take place in that. Then woman will be okay.
Okay. Bitter leaf and milk. It doesn't sound too appealing, but it's a great. Thank you for that analysis. Now, I'm just wondering, what infrastructure do you think might be needed in order to scale up herbal medicines to industrial levels?
Yes. For instance, before I became the provost of Federal College of Forestry, I was the director of Biomedicinal Research Center. And during that period, during the COVID period, me and my team, we came up with what we call C-tone. That is a COVID tone to work on. It's a herbal mixture. It's NAFDAC certified then. Then there are so many infrastructures that needs to be put in place. For instance, we need to have some machines or equipment that will be able to work on the grinding process, the boiler, and all those machines that can able to make sure that it will ease the production. Then we have capsulating machine. After capsulating machine, we need to have a packaging machine that will be stress-free for like tea bagging and all that. Then all those things will be able to balance, and the production will be very, very easy. With that, and also there has a particular project through federal government, like the TED fund, and also special need assessment funds. All those funds needs to also be accessible to colleges, the monotechnics, and also the research institutes, because all those funds are not readily available for the research institute and monotechnics like Federal College of Forestry, Ibadan. If those needs are there, the expertise are there to make sure that we can able to have a better way of managing even the crisis of the recent emerging crisis of these the diseases that we are seeing in the country these days. You know? And all those diseases are emanating from the environmental issues. And this is College of Forestry. And forestry play a major role even in combating an environment and even in health issues. Because when you're talking about the health issues, you cannot run away from the forestry, because it's a part of non-timber forest produce. What is in the forest? The aspect of it, if you are not talking about timber, the bark, the roots, the herbs, the leaves, the lahanas, and the branches are the ones for pharmaceutical use, which also help in having a good health.
All right, thank you so much. You know, there's so much information to take up from you. But as we round up, there's something I'm curious about. You know, when we talk about herbal and traditional medicine on a global scale, they often say that big organizations often like to suppress information and discredit information regarding the use of herbal and traditional medicine. Here in Nigeria, why do you think, because most people still use herbal and traditional medicine, you know, whether it be to cure one ailment or the other, right? I don't want to advocate for anything in particular. Why do you think it's taking us so long to adapt traditional and herbal medicine formally? Because we all do it already anyway. You know, in the West, they'll say that, oh, pharmaceutical companies fight against it. But what do you think is happening here?
I think the major thing that is actually happening in Nigeria is just because of the I wouldn't want to say that maybe government policy in most cases. In South Africa, we have, it's a choice. Mm-hmm. It's either you go for the herbal medication or you go for the conventional one. In Scotland, there is a place, they call it Pharmacy Flora Colony. I have been there before. They boil herbs, and you can able to take it, and you can able to take it directly. And there are some plants that has been used over the years for trial, maybe clinical trials. They don't actually need some other things because the record has been there that it has been tested and fine. There is no secret there. We have been using it, and it's been working for us. This is the right time. The government needs to make a good policy that we can able to say that the herbal medicine is real. Everybody are using it. Mm-hmm. Unless we are just deceiving ourselves. Everybody are using it. It's just that it is very affordable and easier. It is accessible. Affordable, and it's accessible. For instance, they are selling a particular drug for 18,000 naira, whereas what the major chemical component in that drug might be in particular leaf behind your house. And by the time you squeeze it and take it, it will give you the same thing that you want. So I'm just trying to use this opportunity to let the government, the federal government, and the health institutions to work hand in hand with the phytomedicine experts so that we can able to come up with a policy that it is now the time that we can able to embrace this herbal medicine. I don't actually like to call it alternative, because if you call something alternative, it's like maybe say that it's not an alternative, it's a real thing. Because some people doesn't have, that's why we have vegetarians. Mm-hmm. They are not actually, you cannot tell them that it's an alternative way of living. No, that's because it works for them. And in Africa, even generally, globally, each country in the world make use of herbal medicine for their own health or their well-being. For this one, I believe that the federal government should be able to embrace this herbal medicine and make a policy that it's either you take the herbal medicine or you do the conventional ways, but with the caveat that it must be regulated by the experts, because you need to understand what is inside this plant before you take it.
Fantastic. And on that profound note, we'd like to thank you for joining us and for enlightening us that herbal medicines are not alternatives. Yeah. They're just as good as the conventional ones. Dr. Ibrahim Oduola Lawal, Provost, Federal College of Forestry, Ibadan. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsday.